Herb. Herb is a plant. I mean, herbs are good for everything. Herb.
Welcome to Eugene Cannabis TV. We got our old friend, our young friend. He's a young man next to me.
Younger every day.
You bet. Reverend Will, I am. So from the Church for the Caring.
Oh yeah, and I care, man. I'm telling you.
Yep, and we wanted a quick word about the Hemp Fest that happened last weekend. Great time. We're still unwinding from it. I'm still putting stuff away, but it was a great time and it was a great event.
Thanks to the volunteers and all the people who showed up.
The volunteers were incredible. We had too few people that had to do too much work, but they were there and doing it. It was incredible. And the tapestry behind us is from the Hemp Fest. My second command had that, ordered that for me and gave it to me as a gift. So
nice.
I thought it'd make a great backdrop. So yeah, it was a great Hemp Fest. Saturday night especially was the best crowd we've ever had. Great music.
Yep.
June Rushing Band, where I've heard of them, but I wasn't really familiar with them. That lady can sing. I'll tell you, that last song, I don't know the name of it was, but I had goosebumps, you know. I had a song that gave me goosebumps, I don't think, but it was just, wow, it was incredible. So anyway, I appreciate all participated in that, and the next year will be even better.
Well, one of the things for me that impressed me were the vendors. You know, they seem to have a much better attitude this year than they have in the past, because it's all been about just trying to make it. And they seemed to relax, and I thought they were great. I thought they put out a lot. I mean, the one company with the white tent there was definitely into sharing their product with the people and getting them excited each day. I mean, I sent out little videos each of the 3 days because we were having such a good time. You know, just want people to know, especially in this city. Look, folks, if you can remember the country fair, you know, which to me is nothing more than a bunch of hippies out there. And I love hippies, but I mean, it's a hippie mart, you know, basically.
That's a hypocrite fair. That's what somebody said they called it, the hypocrite fair.
For me, it's a hippie mart that's run by a clique. And that's fine. If you can remember that and you want to be part of that and you're making a difference, that's all good. But how come you can't remember 1 week away when we have a Hemp Fest where we're actually struggling to get out of the position of being mistreated continuously? I mean, when you can't smoke and you can't take your medicine without being home, when you can't work and you're not supposed to drive, if that's not discrimination, folks, I would love to have the ACLU call and explain to me how those three things happening to an individual in this country is that person not being discriminated against.
Talk about discrimination. The Register Guard had a great article on the Country Fair, post during and after the event.
Of course.
They had a great write-up on the Bohemian Mining Day event, which is great.
How about the Brew Fest downtown, just drinking on our city streets?
Alcohol, yeah, but did they mention the Hemp Fest? No, not once, nowhere, nowhere. We send them a press release every year. They act like we don't exist. In fact, we don't exist to them.
Right, so, well then look at the TV stations. I mean, they're not coming into our aid in any way, shape, or form.
The last time we had any attention was in 2004 when the city was going to refuse to let us have a park, and the Register Guard gave us really good coverage in those days, but they ignored us ever since. So,
yeah.
Talk about discrimination, but I keep saying that we're going to be here long enough that someday they'll recognize that we're here and have to face it, so I'll outlast them.
I'm looking forward to the thanks for all the work I've done while being looked at as basically a common criminal or somebody that's not even respected in society. I mean, I don't get to mentor children, which is one of my biggest complaints, because I won't say, I'm not smoking pot, man.
So today you told me you had two questions you wanted to ask, so
well, yeah,
lay them on us.
The first one has to do with Floyd Przansky. I'm wondering if him and his cronies up there are ever going to get their act together and realize that a bill with no legs does absolutely nothing to help save the state.
A little bit of background. Some people may know about that. Floyd Przansky.
Well, Floyd Przansky sponsored the bill that was for industrial marijuana growth here in the state.
It passed in Oregon.
Passed here, and then ever since it's just been impotent because the federal government, lying like they do every time they open their mouth and having absolutely no accountability, sit there and lie about marijuana continuously. And at this point in time, they have a really nice catch-22 set up so that you have to have a hemp tax stamp. That's a federal tax stamp in order to be able to grow herb within the state, which I don't understand. And in that process, you can't have a sample because you can't get the tax stamp, so therefore you can't grow. Now please, Ms. Attorney General, you're supposed to interpret the law for us and understand we're already paying out the butt and have absolutely no recourse to make our people who grow for us be responsible. I mean, there isn't. There's nothing set up in the whole medical realm as far as being able to say, you, sir, are supposed to get me the best herb that you have, and you are supposed to get me X amount over a period of time, and you're not doing it. So, hey, I call somebody and have them go out and say, hey, you need to do this. No. It takes you 3 months to be able to get your first medication. I mean, who else has to wait that long to get any medication, ever? Come on. So that's the one question is, why is it that this impotent bill keeps on existing without having any support or any legs by the agricultural industry or anyone who could actually make money off of growing industrial hemp? And it doesn't get you high. It gives you a headache. Personal experience. Now, other than that, my second question has to do with the Attorney General. And as much as I love Ellen Rosenblum, I would really like to know whether or not she's going to help us. Is she actually going to stand up to the federal government, as to me is her position, because they did it with cigarettes. I mean, look at all the money that they created when all the attorney generals came together and said, hey man, you can't do this anymore, or you have to do it a certain way, and then you're going to pay us for it and stuff. Well, let's get the attorney generals together and do the same thing and say, hey man, stay out of our state. Quit blackmailing us with this crap that says if you don't do the dance our way, then we're going to punish you. We're going to take away your money for your roads. We're going to take away the money for your timber industry. We're going to do all that we can in order to hurt you because you're not listening to us. Well, understand, federal government, you work for us. You work for me. And understand you have no right to sit down and make judgments about my care medically, stopping me from being able to talk to my doctor about what medication helps me best? What's wrong with that? I'm a vet. You know what? It makes me nuts. You want to hear, yeah, people go out and they shoot people. Why do they shoot people? Because nobody listens. Nobody cares. Get it together, folks. Understand, Attorney General, please pay attention to this. We need your help, okay? We don't need to be controlled. It would be really nice if we could have legalization, which is in the background. If people really, really care, she wouldn't have to do this for us. But standing up to the federal government and just saying, stop, we don't need you within our borders. We'll take care of our medical marijuana and other marijuana situations without your help. Because you're not helping our sheriffs. I mean, our sheriffs can't even work right now because they don't have any money.
Exactly. And speaking of that, legalization, we have a ballot, initiative on the ballot in November. So the big thing now is to register and vote. Now, in the past, we've been saying that, register to vote, and a good portion of the people don't participate and don't listen, saying that they're apathetic. They're saying it doesn't do any good to work to
it won't do any good. That's their biggest thing.
Exactly.
It's not going to make a difference.
Now there is a ballot, there is an initiative on the ballot, so now is the time to register and vote. This is it, and if you don't register to vote this time, don't ever talk about legalizing and how you want it after this.
It doesn't matter what party does it. It doesn't matter what party you want to.
No, it's on the ballot. Everybody can vote on it. So that's why I'm going to start getting really pushy and telling people, that after the campaign, if the initiative doesn't make it, man, oh man, everybody talks about legalization. I'm going to say, did you vote on that? Are you ready to vote? Did you vote last year?
Yeah, but see, it's the same thing as the Hemp Fest, Dan. We had a Hemp Fest that was underneath the Washington Jefferson Bridge. Everybody complained, oh, you can't have it under Washington Jefferson Bridge. What's the matter with you? Okay, so we move it. We go over to Maury Jacobs Park. Great area. Now we want to expand it. But right now, we'll just talk about being at Maury Jacobs Park, having a great time. No rain. You can't complain about the rain. And where were you, folks? I mean, the Whitaker neighborhood's going to have a party this weekend, and believe me, if you don't see people over there smoking pot, you must be deaf, dumb, and blind, because you cannot, you know, go without being able to smell it and stuff. And to me, I'm tired of having a half-step in this whole process. Whitaker neighborhood, you're the area that people like to be in because you get your rights, because you support each other. Why don't you support us?
That was the reason why we didn't have the after party this weekend. I just remembered, because the Whitaker party didn't want to conflict with that.
See, once again, being kind, bowing to peer pressure, and we're definitely supportive of you having your party. Sure would be nice if you could come out to ours. I mean, we can't put it any more dead center in your backyard. And you still can't make it? I mean, understand, there's a problem there. So hopefully we can work it out. You want to talk to me anytime, walking down the street, you can call me. My number's up here, I'm sure. You know, email,
You see Will in his three-wheel bicycle with 3 flags trailing behind him. Can't miss that. So yeah, and definitely is open to talk. So take the opportunity. Will's been seeing a lot, been through a lot. Some things we've shared, some we haven't. But that court hearing where that guy was on probation, that was one of the highlights. I'll never forget that. Where the guy. The judge asked him, he says, well, what was your, when did you get injured? And he said, well, he stumbled around, I couldn't remember when he got injured. And then, but the biggest highlight was when the doctor said, the judge said, what's the name of the doctor that signed your certificate? And he said, Dr. Bogart. I knew that was the end of it right there. And judge said, that sounds about right. And
well, see, they don't like it when we're creative. That's one of the problems. You know, we try to be creative, and they look at it as we're being smartasses. And to me, the whole thing is, we're not. We're just trying to be light about it because you come across so heavy about it. You know, allowing the drinking, you know, trying to control the prescription drugs. I mean, for me as a veteran, I know many veterans who are doing less of the prescription drugs that they're supposed to be doing, because when they take the amount that they're supposed to take, they become the vegetables that you talk about sitting on your couch. Okay, so the thing is, they find something that can help them, that cuts it in half, maybe even a third, the prescription drugs that they're doing, so that they can maintain and be a positive person in society, and they can't talk to their doctors about it. Now, how is the doctor supposed to make a pure and accurate assessment of what's going on with you for your health if you can't tell him all that you're doing? I mean, it's just another way of saying, we don't care about you. You know, if our money could be shoveled up to these people from the grave, I believe that they would actually be happier to see us in the grave than walking down their streets. So I really hope that people will take a look at that, because understand, for me, I've worked real hard to take care of a lot of people in this city, and it's really sad that I don't get the respect that Jim Gregg and other people get when they want to talk to the mayor. Going in there and showing them movies of how we can hand them money for the school districts and for the school systems, and never getting even a response. So I guess we're going to cut this now and go off.
Yeah, we'll close down this section and start wrapping it up. Yeah, Kitty Percy, I mean, on one hand, at least she is supportive of medical marijuana. She's signed a proclamation, I think, twice, declaring medical marijuana week. Well, a day once, and then it was a week the next time. So at least she's done that. But I know. Well, I know, but it's a lot more than us. What's his name would have done?
It's the kind of lip service that we get when we can make a difference.
Oh yeah, well, that's right. That's yeah. We can.
No more lip service.
That's right. Okay. Anyway, we're going to wrap this up. We've got a great guest coming up, and so I appreciate you coming, Reverend Will, and we'll talk to you next time.
All right.
All right. We're out of here, and we'll be right back. Welcome back. You got DanK here and special guest, Dr. Rick Staggenborg. Rick, I was thinking he'd been on the show before, and I guess not, but I've seen enough of Rick, and I really appreciate him coming in. Welcome to the Eugene Cannabis TV. I know you had something to mention. We were talking about federal and state rights, and you wanted to speak on that, but maybe a little quick bio, and then let people know who you are and what you do.
Sure. I'm a former VA psychiatrist, and I quit my job to run for the U.S. Senate in 2010. And the main reason that I wanted to run was so that I could popularize the idea of supporting candidates who would support a constitutional amendment to get corporate money out of politics in particular. So that's what I'm working on now full-time. Been doing that for a couple of years now, ever since the election was over. And I call it the Pledge to Amend campaign, to get candidates to support this. And on my own, I've got maybe 20 candidates to make a pledge that they would support an amendment like that. So, and then, of course, this is related to the issues that you were talking about with Will. The federal government can stomp on us, even if we get this initiative passed. You know, are we going to be able to do this without fear of the federal government? And we shouldn't be afraid of our government. We're supposed to be the government, we the people, right? First words in the Constitution. I think if we were in charge, this would not be a debate, because there are a lot of conservatives, especially people who consider themselves libertarians, who support this, and of course most liberals do. It's a matter of basic rights. Why should the federal government tell us what we can put into our bodies? Furthermore, as far as medical marijuana goes, that's always been a state issue, regulating the practice of medicine. And the federal government has taken this over for political reasons, and now the pharmaceutical industry has a big stake in making sure that marijuana doesn't become legal. So that's one of the bigger contributors in the medical industrial complex. Then you have the military industrial complex, and they're the ones pulling the strings with our government. So it is not a government of we the people. It's a government of they, the corporations. So basically the reason I wanted to come on was to help people understand that all these things are connected. And if you support legalization, you should also be working, you should be aware of these national issues, be aware that we do not have a democratic government, and that isn't going to change unless you do register to vote. But more than that, you have to realize that there are candidates out there that you can vote for who can make a difference, and it ain't going to happen without you.
That's true, and people say that I don't participate, it doesn't do any good. I always come back and say, well, look at what the people that are voting, look what they're doing to us. So if that isn't a reason to get involved, I don't know what is, you know. So we definitely need to, and then I've other heard people say, well, I don't want to register because then they'll have my number, you know. Well, they got your number anyway, you know. They've had my number for many, many years. I'm an activist. I just assume my phone calls are tapped. I doubt if they are, but who knows? I just assume they are and act accordingly, you know. But I've been active close to 20 years, and the scariest thing I ever had was 2 Oregon State detectives on my front step answering a false accusation that one of our enemies made. That's the only scare I've had. It freaked my wife out. It didn't bother me too much, but it freaked her out pretty good. But,
well, we shouldn't be afraid of our government. That's what I'm saying. The government is supposed to be us. They should be afraid of us.
Oh yeah.
We need to start with that attitude. Of course they're wiretapping us anytime they want now. They can throw us in a military prison without charges as long as they want. They can they tap all of our phone conversations, all of our email traffic. I mean, what more can they do?
Especially after the Patriot Act. I mean, oh my gosh.
Yeah. Well, the National Defense Authorization Act is even worse.
Oh yeah, now was that before or after?
That's been in the last year. Now, with Patriot Act, they actually had to take you to court. With NDAA, they can detain you indefinitely in a military prison without charges, at the president's discretion. If they decide you're an enemy combatant, like you want to overthrow corporate rule of the United States government, you are an enemy of the state as it is now.
Scary stuff. Your hands are the free. Say what?
Well, you know, the FBI is part of it. CIA is part of it. They're, I'm sure, still operating in the United States like they were back during the Vietnam War. you can't be afraid. It's already happening.
Mm-hmm.
And if we don't do anything, it's only going to get worse.
Oh yeah, and I've been saying for years that we're transitioning to a police state, and I've had people say, "Oh, Dan, you're just being radical." These things happen a little bit at a time, and that's how it's happening. And so many people just aren't aware of it, and blind, dumb, and stupid, you know. So it's very discouraging. But you just see little pieces all the time. One of the biggest ones I remember in the past, not too distant future, our past was when our ex-district attorney, Harkle Road, after a police shooting, he rewrote the, I forget what you call it, but anyway, basically, he wrote it up, and this is the policy now. If an officer believes that you have a weapon, he can shoot you and kill you and get away with it.
Mm-hmm. That happens all the time.
Because he thought you had a weapon. The case at 42nd Main where a kid had stolen the pickup, was running away from the cops, got stuck on the railroad tracks. The officer approached him as he was coming out of the pickup, and he said, "I thought I saw him go for a weapon," and shot and killed him, and he had no weapon. So,
yeah, that happens with unfortunate regularity. In Portland, there's Portland Cop Watch, and they track this stuff and try to make them accountable, but City Hall protects them. They're afraid of the police union.
Yeah.
And you know, again, that's another example at a local level of how we don't control our own government.
We had
let me just mention something. I should have said it earlier. I mentioned the Pledge to Amend campaign. I want to encourage people to go to the Soldiers for Peace International website, and you can see a description, a more detailed description of what it is. You can see a list of the candidates who've made a pledge, so you know who to support. There's 4 in Oregon who've made a pledge to amend. 3 of those are third-party candidates. We need to get over the idea that voting for a third party is a waste of your vote. Voting for any corporate candidate is a waste of your vote. So Soldiers for Peace International, just Google it, or soldiersforpeaceinternational.org is the name of the website.
Yeah, definitely check that out and support the politicians that support real freedom, real actual freedom. I always I heard something a while back, is that politicians pretend to tell the truth and we pretend to believe them.
Well, I think more and more people aren't believing them, but it doesn't help to be cynical and say they're all crooked. I think probably the majority of politicians think they're doing the best they can. They're part of a system that doesn't work, a system where the rich and corporations can elect virtually anybody they want because of the way they're allowed to contribute to campaigns. And that's what this amendment would fix.
That's excellent. Yeah, well, that's incredible. And to take your time, I mean, to devote your life to it is incredible. And I have an idea of what that's like because of my journey, I guess you'd say. But yeah, when it's something that you believe in, and it's just, you got to keep pushing. And I appreciate your determination and tenacity. So, since you've been on this trail, I know you're doing. In fact, tell us about the internet radio. When is that on, and how can you?
Oh, yeah. We have a Saturday morning show at 8 o'clock. I know a lot of people don't get up that early, but if you do, you can call in and participate in the discussion. It's a 2-hour show, so it goes till 10. And if you can't make it, if you can't get out of bed by 10, or are busy on Saturday morning, you can check out the podcast at soldiersforpeaceinternational.org.
That's great, and we'll get those websites on the screen too, and be sure and give that to our producer so we can get that on the screen.
Great.
So people can check that out. Yeah, that was great. I was on it one time. I was kind of preoccupied. I had a little emergency there where I was at home, and so I was trying to talk to Rick, and then my mom called, and then I didn't know if it was a problem with Mom or not, so then I had to get off so I could check on my mom. Turned out she was fine, but you never know. When she's 89, you got to check the calls, you know.
Well, we did that show again because we had a lot of technical difficulties. Oh, yeah. The second version is Global Marijuana March, Take 2, and that one went really well. We covered a lot of the same issues.
And that's on the website where people can.
Yeah, there's a link to the radio show there, and from there you can get all the podcasts.
Yeah, that's great. Love technology. So, you bet. Yeah, it's the power of the internet is really an awesome thing. I know we've seen it in our Hemp Fest when we were in the past had trouble with our website, and we were really crippled without the website. And it sure made it nice to where we had access to it again. We lost control of it, and anyway, we got it back and got a good went through a couple of webmasters before we got the good one, and so now it's great. We can jump on and make a change real quick, and you know, so.
Yeah, the internet is the only thing that makes it possible to have a revolution, a peaceful democratic revolution. And I think we can do it, but again, you know, it isn't going to happen on its own. People need to get involved. This has been a theme of this show. People need to get involved. They need to understand their efforts do make a difference. Every one of us is important. And if you can go out and get a couple other people to get involved in whatever cause you think is most important, mine is Pledge to Amend, we can make it happen. Take back the government.
I know if I wasn't in the cannabis issue thing, I think I'd probably be putting my focus into fathers' rights. Being a divorcee with 2 kids and the hell I went through, that's what I'd be fighting, is fathers' rights. But I'm so wrapped up in the whole cannabis thing, I really don't have time for anything else. But anyway, so in your travels, you must have met some interesting people. What are some of the things that stuck with you, and places you talked, and people you met, and stories you heard?
Shoot, I've been all over the country. I started out working for single-payer healthcare, and seeing how corrupted that process was, that's really what got me into politics. I realized we need to completely destroy the existing political system, which is corporate controlled. So I've met, well, you name it, people from Progressive Democrats of America, the executive director, Tim Carpenter, we've talked a number of times, Margaret Flowers from that movement, David Cobb from Move to Amend, we've talked quite a bit. I mean, a lot of big names. I'm not name dropping, but
right.
I mean, I don't have a lot of stories to tell. These are all working relationships. I don't do a lot of sitting around and drinking with these guys who are usually at conventions or something in other cities, so we're all real busy.
Yes. Well, great. I appreciate you coming on the show, and well, any time, I'd love to have you come on.
Well, thanks for having me.
You bet. 6:30 Monday nights, and that goes to the audience too. You're always welcome to come by, either be on the show or just sit by and watch. It's a lot of fun. We got great people, and the main thing is I want to push is registering to vote. Register to vote. You can go to the post office, pick up the form, fill it out, take care of it there. Libraries, get a form, and register to vote. It's really important. So, all right, we're out of here, and check the next show, Eugene Cannabis TV. We'll be back next week. Thank you.